guys, and welcome to a brand new episode of Injury Time, a place where Indian football is discussed without fear and loathing. So, there's a lot to be discussed since the time we last went live with our show. But in this meantime, there has been a few extra episodes that Sandeep's put out with his interviews with coaches, players, and everyone that you're aware of. But today we are back with our panel to discuss everything that's happened in Indian football over the past few weeks. So there is the old regime that was booted out by the Supreme Court. Then the committee of administrators that were appointed by the Supreme Court taking charge of AIFF now. A new constitution, a draft constitution, finally being prepared and submitted to the Supreme Court. So that is something that we'll be discussing about. And then, of course, there is a lot of action that's happened in the field, right? AFC Cup hua tha in Kolkata, where Gokulam, Kerala, and ATK Mohan Bagan were in action with neighboring South Asian teams. So that will be discussed. And then there was the Indian Women's League. We have Abresh Meena joining us to tell us everything that happened there. Kokla went on to defend their title, but is that it? No, like there's more to talk about it in the IWL. And of course, the big one, the Asian Cup qualifiers, which gets underway in a few days' time, where the Indian men's team will be in action. Again, the match is being played in Kolkata, but this time around, the fans are coming back to the stadium. Ticket issues is what we hear, but that will be soon sorted. But before we move on and start talking about all of this, let me get on board my panelists. First up, joining me from Delhi is Abresh Meena. Hey, Abresh Meena, what's up?
Hello.
You look awesome. You look pretty pumped up. You look pretty happy. I'm hoping everything is fine at your end.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you.
Great. And also from Delhi, Orko Bhattacharya. Orko, welcome back to Injury Time.
Yo, peeps.
How are you, man? Like, you seem pretty excited. Something that you always wanted, like all Indian football fans were actually looking forward to the old regime being booted out and COA now finally coming on board and the new constitution being drafted and submitted to the Supreme Court. A lot has happened over the past 2 weeks.
Yeah, I'm really interested to see where it goes from here. I mean, a lot of people were waiting for this year. I'm not going to say I wait for this year, but yeah, I mean, there are some things I didn't agree with. So let's just leave it at that.
Well, we'll discuss a lot about it. We'll get to nitty-gritties of the constitution but before that, let me bring on board my co-host, guy with whom I started the show, Sandeep, who's back in Bangalore after a long vacation where I'm pretty sure he was not free. He was just busy running around sorting out things. Sandeep,
yeah,
back in Bangalore, back on the show. Welcome back.
Thank you. Yeah, it was a busy vacation of sorts.
Yes, but you're now back the first thing you decide to do is come on Injury Time and talk Indian football, right?
Yeah, I just came back today, so I was like,
and someone's already dropping bombs on us. It's only been 5 minutes. Somebody's already dropping bombs. Somebody's saying, "How can we start? Hi, sir." And the second message of how can we sack too much? We can't. But 11 people on the pitch can get him sacked next month. I think.
Let's see.
I am getting one of those ominous feelings. I don't want to say. I'm getting one of those very ominous feelings. Pata hai.
Like, all I want to do is sing the Saira Banu song, which I won't. But let's start talking about Indian football. Let's start with what happened in the Supreme Court, where the verdict came in. The old regime led by Praful Patel was finally shown the door, with the Supreme Court appointing a committee of administrators led by former judge of the Supreme Court, Qureshi, along with a former Indian international. Bhaskar Ganguly, a former India international. Yes, things are slowly but steadily looking to move in the right direction, Orko. And the first step has been taken. The draft constitution has been prepared, has been submitted to the Supreme Court. There will be discussions on this. It will take time before this constitution comes into force, comes into act, and then you have this election happen with a new elected body of the AIFF come into force, right? But first step, it's always heartening to see, right?
Yeah, first step, because especially like you said, if a system's been in place for so long, right, there's always internal friction against. There's always an inertia against any change, right? So this is a huge structural change that is happening. Constitution, like, we can discuss it, we can discuss the nitty-gritties of it, but you have to say that when they discuss the constitution in the AFA office, a lot of people will not be happy. A lot of people will object. Please remember, this is a draft that Qureshi submitted. We have to see what the final product is. And yeah, COA is asking suggestion. Please give suggestion to COA. I think the fans have given a lot of suggestions. I think the Blue Pilgrims are having a session tomorrow, an open session. Let's see what's going to happen. But yeah, inertia to change is there, and the first step has been taken, but it is the first step of an excruciating journey. And let me remind you, we have taken a lot of first steps before.
Right.
Who's coming next? Who is whose man? Are they coming in, representing any other party? You know, these things get
Well,
known pretty well.
well,
Yeah.
well, probably only time will tell what happens from now on. But
Yeah.
right now, we can be content with the fact that the first step has been taken. Draft constitution has been prepared and submitted to the Supreme Court.
Let's see.
Sandeep, I gather that you got a chance to go through the draft constitution, and there are certain points that really stood out for you. Do you want to take us? Do you want to take us through that?
Yeah, so first of all, one of the things that they've said is the senior most league, which at the moment is the ISL,
Highly,
has to
yeah.
be owned and operated by the AFF. Right. So that in itself puts it in a situation where there is going to be, so before we say all this, I have to say that first of all, they need to get it cleared by state affairs and the court and then the FIFA and the election. All these people have to clear it. So
Yes.
there might be revisions and things that they will throw
There
out.
will be revisions.
Yeah, for
100%.
sure. But nonetheless, when you do this particular line is interesting because now it sort of puts Reliance in a little bit of a in a situation where they have to negotiate if they want to continue with the ISL. AIFF needs to have more power, and that I think is very interesting because they'll have to bargain in some way, shape, or form, and there needs to have a relegation and promotion as well, which is again something that is mentioned. So there is, in some sense, Reliance is going, or FSDL rather, will have to strike some bargain. I think this is a good thing for the AIFF because they can twist the arm a little bit to see if they can get some control back. So that's one. Again, we have to see how this goes forward because I'm sure some jugaad they can do. And another one is the Article 56. Okay, so I saw that there was a position for a CEO. Now this is different from a general secretary. CEO has generally general secretaries are picked up by the council and the president and whoever wants. So now the CEO, they said for him to be eligible, he needs to have 5 years as the CEO of a company with a turnover of 35 crore. Now, it's a very interesting thing, right? You need to be a CEO for 5 years.
Is Sandeep's voice cutting for you guys also?
So Sanjeev,
Eligible for this.
Sanjeev voice
Am I
is
the only-
working.
Yeah,
where did you
Sandeep.
finish?
We didn't gather anything that you said about the CEO.
Yeah.
The article that talks about the CEO.
Okay, so the CEO, the role that he has is very similar to the general secretary. So, but CEO has to be, for him to be eligible, he has to have 5 years as a CEO of a company with a turnover of 35 crore or more. So that essentially eliminates almost all the football operators right now, from clubs and all those other things.
Right.
Maybe ATK
Right.
Mohan Bagan could be an exception, but 5 years I think is a problem there as well. Nevertheless,
Right.
there is going to be a lot of overlap between general secretary and CEO. So why is there two of this position? Now, the lot of the negotiations also will go through the CEO, right? So there is probably going to be influx of people for this role who are outside of football.
Right.
And is that, first of all, the question is that a good move? The other possibility could be that the person who is coming in could be from the FSDL side. So now you have, I don't know if it's a conflict of interest, but at least someone to look after that interest. So this role of general secretary and CEO, which CEOs I think the new thing that they're adding. General secretary has always been there, so he was the go-to guy, the point of contact for a lot of discussions. Now you've added a second person in it, so there is some. I don't know. It just feels like there is going to be broadcast deals to be negotiated and stuff like that. So this role is very interesting. I don't know if it will stay at the end of the whole debate. But I think it's worth flagging out that this role has been put in, and that could be potentially something that is a very coveted role. because a lot of strength or power will go through there, and a lot of bargaining and negotiations will happen there. And the rider on the thing, which is, with a turnover of 35 crore in 5 years, would essentially eliminate most of the footballing operatives, unless the executive committee and people sit and decided to,
Yeah.
there's a good candidate, we need to take it.
Actually, I just like to butt in Sandeep here, right? And I like to get your opinion on this also, right? The CEO of IFF is never a role that we've had before, right? It's a new role. So it's something we've never had to worry about. Correct. And how many people, my question is, in your estimation, and even in my estimation, and the panel here can decide, how many people can actually do the job? Like, how many people have done a job of that caliber in football that they can become the CEO of the AFF? Like, I think you can literally count it on one finger, one hand, maybe 3-4 people who have the track record also,
Okay.
right, of becoming AFF CEO.
So just butting in here, I think how this will probably pan out if this goes on to happen, and we do have a CEO for AFF, is what we saw with the Hockey India, right? Years ago, when their constitution went in overall after the Gill era, you had a CEO come in, and then they got an Australian who still continues as the CEO of Hockey India. So you might have a foreigner come in that role, and mind you, this role is not an elected role.
No.
This role of a CEO is not an elected role. So this is a salaried role.
It is an appointed role. Yes.
Yeah, correct. It's an appointed salaried role. So this will continue even when the regime changes. So there is a possibility of this continuing even when the regime changes. So
it's a lot of outlay, because CEO will bring his team also along with
correct.
with him
Right.
also. Yeah.
So this is where I think what Sandeep says, like the power that a CEO will wield in AIFF will be very crucial, because everything will go around CEO through CEO, and it all depends on who this person is, where this person comes from, and what happens. I think we just lost Sandeep. I just get him back. Yeah, Sandeep is back, joining on from his phone. I think
I have
internet
to
problems, right?
on the phone.
Yeah, some internet problems there. Sandeep, we are just discussing a bit about the CEO's role, and just coming back to what you were just saying, like the power that CEO will wield if this continues, and if we see this in the constitution, will be very crucial, not just for the immediate future of AIFF, but the way this organization goes ahead as well.
I think there is a 12-year cap, so that's the maximum that he can be there. So there is an upper limit, but 12-year still is a lot of time.
Is a lot of time. Yeah. I think, I have a faint theory as to who it could be. I'm not going to mention the name here.
I mean, I was listening to Orko, like there are very few people who is eligible from the AFF, from the footballing world, who are eligible at the moment to take up that role.
There are very few. No, forget the on paper eligibility also. Like track record wise, how many people can you actually,
I mean, if you go by track record, there are a lot of people who shouldn't be there now only.
Yeah, see,
no, that's not my point.
That's saying not my point. They may not be actually considering anybody from the footballing. Indian football.
So will they consider somebody from the existing AFF also? ये भी देखना पड़ेगा.
And look, executive committee I think is there for 4 years. Right. So will the CEO have to change in 4 years? Can he do 3 terms in that sense? Who knows? So we'll figure it out.
So someone's asked us to speak on Article 65 and 65.1 and 2. Before that, I just want you all to just draw attention to Article 74 and 75. I promise we won't do this with all the articles, just some key articles that I want to. Because Article number 74 is called independence, right? Independence is actually a concept in the financial sector, where you have to essentially declare all your relationships to prove that you don't have any existing conflict of interest. So Article 74 and 75 deal with independence, and I think this is also something huge. Naveen, do you want to can you just zoom in a bit?
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, I think the first bit, right? Someone's holding an official function in AFF, they cannot be somebody, they cannot be all of this, right? They're not permitted to be individuals or member. And already, mind you, a lot of people are already flouting this first bit only.
Correct.
Right? Then the next bit is also pretty, what do you say, pretty vital. Other official functions, right? Other official functions bole to now state people, state bodies can also maybe not, do like be associated with the, AFF.
Yeah, in the working of the AIFF. So basically, they're looking at including more people and not having the state people only come up to
Yes,
the
yes.
into the national body.
I actually think that's a huge win. Dekha jaye to, because you're dealing with less bias. I just
Right.
feel automatically you're dealing with less regional bias.
Correct.
You also might get more qualified professionals, is my point. Because I'm just going to come out and straight say it. I would fire 90% of the state associations right now. I would not keep them. I would not.
All right.
Yeah.
So them, if they're out, that's huge. That's huge news for me. Right?
So and Article 70 are basically conflict of interest. This just goes on to explain everything that Article 74 also talks about, right?
Yeah. No, and go to 75.4. I think that is the
There you go.
70. Yeah, this I think is a pretty comprehensive. You need to pull it down. I think there are more. So people can only hold one position. And my
Right.
God, like, you guys don't know how big this is for Indian football, because a lot of people, sometimes overlap, right? I think
Sometimes I think it does always.
yeah. So huge. I think 74 and 75 are huge from my
Yeah.
perspective, right? We're getting a lot of comments today. I think you just want to start pulling up a few which are
Yes,
which are
we can
relevant.
first start. Yeah, we can start with Article 65, which Kumar Reddy wants to know. He wants us to discuss Article 65, 65.1 and 2. I'll just pull those up. Just if you can just give me a moment. This pretty interesting. Like it's pretty detailed and like any constitution should be. So the thing is we got our hands only today. So देखने का time नहीं मिला यार, to be very frank. Rights and authorization. Basically, this comes down to your commercial rights, your broadcast rights, and all the rights that a federation has to give away during the course of their tenure. Right. This is what it talks about. Right, Arko?
65.2, right?
Yeah.
65.2 is really, 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 really interesting, right? So now, like you said, if ISL is the top division, who owns the ISL, right? According to the constitution, right?
Yeah.
So if AFF owns,
So I think
yeah,
that's where AIFF goes. That's where the constitution goes on to define that AIFF has to own the top division and not a third party body.
65 उसके ऊपर AFF has to own all commercial rights. थोड़ा ऊपर
Correct.
जाओ.
हाँ जी.
Like these three lines here, right? Commercial rights, financial rights, audio, visual, and radio recording, reproduction, broadcasting rights, multimedia rights, marketing and promotional rights, incorporeal rights. So now what? So does the ISL say ISL can't say I'm not affiliated to AFF anymore, right? I mean,
so this just puts the entire commercial deal that AIFF has with IMG Reliance in the past null and void, right? Because the entire deal was about it. It was about the commercial rights, right? It's about the rights and distribution
or does the deal get restructured? Ask yourself if the deal gets restructured at this point of time.
I think restructured.
Repackaged.
Yeah.
Repackaged is
but in its current form,
even English Premier League, it is not a product of the FA.
Yeah.
No, it is a company in
separate
itself.
one.
It is a
All
company
they
in
can,
itself,
this
right?
is
Like
just
the
to
Bundesliga.
sell the rights. That's all. They can sell the rights to whoever they want.
So the Bundesliga model is essentially Bundesliga 1 and 2 get 36 clubs. They have voting rights, and the 37th is the DFB itself. So they have 37 if that is, I think, the model till 3-4 साल पहले जो मुझे याद है, that as far as I can remember, right? So Sandeep is right when he says Premier League is its own body. It's not I think the English pyramid that is owned by the FA solely starts from the championship, right, Sandeep? I think that's what you were trying to
cover. Premier League is a separate entity.
हाँ, ठीक Yeah, 50 plus 1 is for the fans, Joshua. We are talking about the structure of the Bundesliga itself and who holds a voting right. That's 36 member clubs of voting Bundesliga 1 and 2 and the DFB itself. So the 37. Yeah. Kumar Reddy keeps saying, I want to say something. Supreme Court says CEO decision final and said, please take this decision. Listen to me, the COA might take a decision, but it will consult a lot of internal people, including the FM, and there'll be a lot of internal pressure on the COA. So do not think the COA's decision is the COA's decision alone. There are a
Yeah.
lot of people who are.
And it'll have to be in accordance with all the parties involved, because otherwise there'll also be a lot of backlash, internal backlash, for them. So if there is like way too much to and fro also, it doesn't make complete sense for them too, because obviously their job at the moment is also to quickly finish this bit and hand it over to the AFF to deal with the whole thing.
I also want to say something, and this is entirely my point of view. This is not injury times, my point of view. When Sandeep says about the CEO clause, right? My thing is, they might just get some corporate guy to come and take over as CEO, right? But football is really complex. Sorry to say this, right? Football is really complex. We've had at the start of the ISL, we had a lot of consultants and Big Four, McKinsey, BCG wale sit, in ISL. One of the suggestions that came out, and an ex-star person told me, one of the suggestions that came out is that, hey, why don't we turn all the draws into penalty shootouts? This is one of the things that came out, right? So, as much as I want qualified professionals, let me be very clear. I want finance ke bande should be finance ke bande, not some, footballer dabbling in finance, no. But I'm just saying a bit of football understanding. He should be some person who's been to some states, seen football with his eyes, as an active interest in Indian football. He understands, because Indian football is superb. It's superbly complex. I'm not kidding at all. There is no one size fits all rule. Like it is the extent of it. And one day we should get our friend Nihal from the Indian Football Minnows, because he will tell you how diverse it is. Like it is crazily diverse, right? There's no way somebody sitting in a cabin in Dwarka can make decisions without really studying the landscape. It is superb, it is super complex. So
it's
I
quite
think
magnificent, actually.
I mean, in its diversity, right? Indian football
nitty-gritties that there are, and
the
differences in each of those, each state, each district. In the, I think, according to the constitution, it's been mandated on state FAs also to, have district associations.
The article is what? I think our friend Kuch Bhi on Twitter has made a very interesting thread. You can try and pull that up also. I think that really very good summary, apart from points we discussed.
Yeah, player council is also he's only summarized that player.
What happens to the PFI also? I think the constitution mandates that you have to make a player council. So what happens to the PFAI? And we know that PFI and AFF have been a loggerheads where AFF said we don't recognize. There's been, I think there were tweets. I'm not kidding. There were tweets. We are talking about 2018-19 or 2020. There were tweets from AFF saying we don't recognize this body. There have been problems there also, right? And by the way, PFI is also affiliated to Fifth Pro, right?
Yeah,
very thankful to Kuchbhi for making this thread. आपने बहुत नेक काम किया है इंडियन फुटबॉल के लिए. सच बता रहा हूँ मैं, सच बता रहा हूँ. Actually, कुरैशी साहब ये कर सकते थे, but
Qureshi sahab is busy. Okay.
That is also there. Thank you, Qureshi sahab, ऐसे for all your efforts. ठीक है.
All right. If you want to take us through this, Orko.
So ये I was reading this today. So 3 years running, I think a state has to have a league. I think my interpretation of it is slightly different from Kuchbhi's. That in order to be a member, the clause says you need to have a league running for 3 years.
Right.
That is. Yeah, I'll just say this. The said legal entity. This is on page 13 of the constitution. If you want to,
I can't pull up both the things at the same time.
You don't. I'll just read it. The said legal entity wishing to become a member should have organized and conducted a regular league for at least 3 years within its own state or union territory before applying for membership. It also says full bodies will have 2 votes, while as associate members will have 1 vote. At least 33% of representatives should be comprised of ex-players, right? Out of the aforesaid individual members, 40% should be female footballers, right?
Okay.
State Joshua also pulls up an important point. How many have their own constitution? The answer is, Joshua, how many will make it public? How many will make it public is the question. Right now, a lot of people do not. These are esoteric. These are mysterious as hell.
Yeah,
right?
they do have obviously they do have a framework of or a semblance of a constitution, but the details of it are never public.
I believe the next step. Sorry to butt in. I believe the next step is for the AFF to make a template for the state affairs constitution. कि इसी template, इसी framework के अंदर होना चाहिए. Do not step out of this.
Yeah.
Sorry. Continue.
I think no. I think one of the tweets also say that they've said that it should sort of embody the constitution of the AFF.
Correct.
So yeah, I mean,
I think the qualification rules. So we know 65. I think that's in line with the sports code. 33% of the individual eminent players, which we are saying 40% have to be female. Out of a general body will be legislative unit. Exco president, yes. We hope there are more people on this. Players Council, again, what happens to the PFI? That's a big question. Seats reserved for women EPs, yeah, which we were saying 40% are reserved. Expect replicate spirit and structure of AFF. But again, like we've spoken multiple times, the state affairs are individual bodies. They are not strictly subsidiaries of the AFF. They are individual bodies registered to the Societies Act.
Correct.
So, or other non-profitable organizations act. I think one is almost 100 years old. Societies Act, I think, is 1863. I'm not sure. Also, guideline job descriptions for key professional positions. Ye to hai. This is a good step where they're saying that there should be guidelines and JDs. But see, just having guideline JD, no, someone has to make sure they're being followed also.
Correct.
Key in all of this is that all will be held by state FA members. Still 67% the state FAs ke paas hi hai. But the number of change makers in state FA is also growing. We know a lot of people who are pushing the boundaries also. Start from a district. See, this, what Kuch Bhi is saying, this has always been the structure of Indian football. In order to get to a state FA, you need to be a part of district FA. This has been a part of the state FA's constitution in a lot of states. Already, this is the rule. Right? You need to be a part of district FA before you can be a part of the state FA.
Correct.
I mean, the clubs vote, no? At the FAs.
Clubs bhi hai, but in a lot of state FAs, you need to be a part of the district FA. What happens is someone starts a league, then they get a position in the state FA.
No, but all this, I think, is all under control only.
How many? Right. Yeah, I think TR Hari Subramaniam has a very important question. They are supposed to have elections every 4-5 years. Hari, this is also true. To some of the FAs have the same guys. Examples where I'll just give some examples and you can add, Sandeep. I think Karnataka, Kerala, Meghalaya, Delhi, for the longest time they had, I think they've all changed within the last 5 years. People at the helm for decades. Karnataka, it was Khalil, for example. Delhi, it was Subhash Chopra faction. Meghalaya, it was Tamil Nadu. Meghalaya, it was a guy called Babur Diengdo who was there for almost 32 years. Right? So, Kerala also, I think the secretary is pretty old, if I'm not wrong.
Anil?
He just left, right?
No, Anil is still there.
No, So Anil's been the secretary for longest time, if I'm not wrong.
I don't know for sure
Yeah,
how long.
yeah. Khalil,
But Karna Khalil was there for
yeah, for three
a
decades. We
long,
know this.
long time.
Yeah, yeah.
Khalil was a relic.
So
Yeah,
was
I think
Babar Game.
Anil probably over 10 years.
Yeah. A lot of state affairs have seen Anil is still there. Yeah, we know Anil is still there. We are just trying to remember if somebody was there before Anil recently or not.
No, no,
Sarath
no.
has written. Yeah,
He's been there for a long time.
yeah. Even as far as since we started covering Indian football, uh, I mean, Hari says it changed in 2019, but I can recall Anil being in some position before that. Maybe we're mistaken. Sorry for the poor memory, Hari. But yeah, states like UP, MP, where a lot of stuff doesn't happen, they've had people at the helm for decades.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah, also we don't look into them because nothing really happens there.
Nothing happens there. So
Yeah.
why should we? Yeah, why should we even like look into
Bother.
them? But as we say this, Sandeep, this is also a very valid point that corruption's been ruining these state affairs for years also, and then they could really do with some looking into also, really. But
Yeah,
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 we
for
are not
sure.
local journalists. I get it. Someone there should look into it.
Also,
Look, we
Kumar
have written
Reddy.
also so many things he had written during that time. I
UP, for
can tell
example,
some
Shamsuddin
really
was the
funny
helm.
stories.
I think he passed away recently. Shamsuddin was the helm for UP for a long time, if I 10, 15 years at least. He was there. AFF is part of any he eligible or not. So
All right.
yeah.
There's a lot, but
Please answer Kumar Reddy's question. He wants it answered.
Arko, this question is specifically for you. Okay.
Mhm. Abrishmin, I want you to take this question
Why?
because I don't
You
want
spoke
to.
about it on
I
Twitter.
spoke about it. It's see. I'm not going to be shy here. I mean, Sandeep.
No,
We've all spoken about it. It happens very regularly in Indian
see, it
football.
happens very regularly
Regularly in
in
Indian
state
football.
leagues. It is a known fact. We
Yeah,
can't really pinpoint
yeah.
each and every match because obviously you can't really pinpoint that this is what happened in this
Yeah.
particular match
But what?
without obviously
Hmm,
full evidence on it, right? But it's in hush hush tones. We've heard people speak on ground during matches about it. So yeah,
For
it's
example,
pretty much relevant.
Me and Abrish Meena have heard. For example, we've heard before the match starts, a referee saying this is about our team. We presume, we don't know. It's all circumstantial, obviously. And we have heard saying, "मैं उसको card दे दूंगा." The translation of which is, "I will give him a card." No
Just because,
context. No
yeah, just because
context.
I want.
No context. Nothing doing. And
And
believe,
also, like
believe you me,
we
the
partic-
match that followed was very suspicious. Was very suspicious. So essentially, Kumar Reddy, when you pay every official like 150 bucks, referee paying 150 bucks, or linesman, what you're giving him a food pack, I don't know. All right. It's all open. As long as there is no rigid check on this will keep happening. Essentially, because the payoff is very huge and nobody really, nobody really.
Some of it to be, I'm not going to be on their defense, but some of it is also because they want to sustain. There is so little
No,
money.
no.
You get
So again,
relegated,
that's
you
what I'm
might
saying.
lose all the money and stuff. So I've
Your
also heard stories of, people, if it's one team is for relegation, the other team is not for relegation.
uh,
There are many states where I've heard stories that the other team is like, Acha, I have nothing to lose here. There are some really suspicious results that you sometimes see, some massive goal difference and stuff. So all of this does happen.
yeah, yeah.
Like Marcus only wrote, I think, last couple of years in Goa only match
Goa,
fixing has
yeah,
happened.
Goa. I mean,
Yeah.
but
So,
there are
that's
some
out in the open.
some things
Others,
yes,
we
there
have
are a lot that
audience
are not.
we have
some things the
heard
audience
people
doesn't
saying
know.
that
Some things the audience
matches
doesn't
have
know.
been fixed,
Some
like
things the
so
audience doesn't know
casually
that.
that it's normal.
Sometimes the watchdogs are hand in hand with the state affairs. Sometimes the watchdog themselves shut
Are
it
the
down.
state affair.
Shut it down. Yeah. Sometimes the watchdogs themselves shut it down. So let's not go into it. It's a pretty dark area, especially for me and Abrish Meena. I think our experiences this year have been very, uh, I might come across as bitter on Twitter, but trust me, guys, it's been a hard year on the pitch for us, and there are some things which are still not explained. We want answers. We respectfully demanded answers, and answers we got were even more made us even more suspicious. So we'll just leave it at that. We'll just take some of the other questions. Spandan Paul is saying, what about those in I leagues? I league also, me and Sandeep, we've heard some really crazy stuff about I league. I mean, like,
especially in recruitment, especially
in recruitment. Yeah, in recruitment is crazy. Like,
that's the bread and butter.
Yeah, in recruitment, like I said, somebody paying to play. Yeah, somebody paying to play. Two teams deciding at the last game or season that a draw will suffice for them. We've heard stuff. TR Hari Subramanian is saying it's really sad. Like, very few people look. It's true, Hari. Nobody goes to watch the state league except if it's Kerala. Nobody goes to watch the state league. So, and state associations want to keep it that way. They want to keep it that way because they structure.
I mean, that part I won't agree, because Karnataka at least really tries to get the people to come for the Super Division.
Honestly, I'm going to give kudos to Karnataka. Karnataka's done. They're trying to do something. So
yeah, and there is a lot of things also, because when it's a legacy club, people do come. That's what I've noticed. Like, if it's in, I don't know about Goa, the Pro League, how that works over there, but in Karnataka, if earlier HL used to play, now HL is coming back up. So maybe once they come back, MEG, HL and all that match used to happen, people used to show up. Even now, when BFC is playing, say, Bangalore United or Kickstart, which is like top of the table match, there are a lot of people who show up. So there is some atmosphere. It's a very different atmosphere from what you would see in an ISL BFC game. Very different sort of crowd, local crowd, lot more, So it's a lot of Tamil speaking crowd also. So it's really funny when they talk. So it's a different atmosphere, but they do come. But I don't know about other leagues.
You're talking about exceptions. Now, suppose there's a state league happening in Madhya Pradesh.
That and all for sure. Yeah. I mean, that Vicky was telling you, Rajasthan former coach. His whole season was over in 11 days. He played some 8 games in 11 days or something.
Himachal League was some 8 days.
Yeah, so who is going to come and watch that? Because you don't even advertise.
We played 4 games in the Premier Division this time. We played 4 games in the Premier Division this time. No, see,
even for that matter, even in Bombay, that no one who turns up for these matches, right? It's a lengthier match. It's a lengthy league.
No one forget, what are the sports journalists doing? Like,
even the sports journalists don't turn up most of the time. There's no.
Yeah, man, we are understaffed. Okay, we are really struggling. We're trying to get shit done.
But listen to me. Sorry for the language. Rafael Nadal and Roger Federer seriously don't give a shit as to what you write about them.
Nobody writes about Rafael Nadal and
all. In the papers, you're getting Roland Garros coverage. You're getting this coverage, that coverage.
This I'm going to argue, because at the end of the day, that's a massive event. People are going to watch it and they want to read it. And I don't care what you say. That has to be covered.
But it's a chicken and egg question, right?
No, it's not.
If you
because I go and cover every single match of Super Division, other than the last year when I didn't go because of COVID and all that.
You get like a small column.
I wrote 300 words with even to this day, even with no space. Deccan Herald carries photo of Super Division games with the report. And there are others who may not, and others who may also. But I am telling you from my point of view, Super Division we cover a lot. To the point that if we don't carry it, I get a call from someone in KSFA and BDFA asking why was it not covered.
But you're an exception, right? You agree that you're an exception.
I think Sandeep, what Orko is talking about is like the scene that he's seen in Bombay, because he was here. He worked in Bombay. No one turns up in Bombay. That's what he was referring to.
But does journalists turn up for the local cricket games?
Yes. Kangali,
yes.
Yeah, because Mumbai is a cricket playing.
No, in Delhi also they turn up everywhere. You have local sports journalists watching cricket games.
Yeah, that's because that's the most important sport. In Karnataka, you have people for swimming.
I've seen people go for the. Anyway, we're digressing, right?
Yeah.
My point is, Hari is a very important point, and I'm telling you that someone needs to be there. If the Blue Pilgrims listen to this, if any fan club listening to this, please send a watchdog. Please, I know these are very weird times, but trust me, what me and Abresh Meena and what Anirban tells us, we've seen some crazy stuff, some unexplained last minute goals, like some, like, yeah, I mean, like, it's like parting of the Red Sea. Like, people just moved aside. Come score. There was a coach who bought 2 sets of players for 2 teams, and those 2 teams played each other also. Like, amazing. Like, they played each other they're in the same group.
Are the local division games charged?
Charged as in money?
Entry fee? Yeah.
No. As I have seen football in almost 20 states, and very few have, like, in what do you say, in Goa, you can donate. I think this year, I think they are free. Sometimes people give $50 as entry fee. Like, it varies, but mostly they are not. Like in Manipur, some people give like 10 rupees, 25 rupees. Sometimes people give. So it varies, but mostly not. Because people don't come only, no? People don't come only.
Yeah.
What about KSF? KSF, as far as I recall, they did not have entry fee back in 2015.
KSFA, no, they don't charge.
No.
Yeah.
MDFA also no. Kerala, I don't know. I think.
Hey, MDFA, no one comes to charge.
Nobody comes also.
Okay, I think we have just opened up Pandora's box, but we don't have time for that. We need to move on.
Just Srivatsas, we'll just address. I think it's a very important, and I think it ties into the whole discussion also. So this is the problem that the old regime has created, and I will definitely blame them. This whole thing of who is the top division, who is the bottom division, who comes after whom. Why don't we still have a pyramid? It's 2022, right? Just have a pyramid from lowest to top. Just show people there is a pathway. Just show people there is a ladder. Right? It ties back to the same thing we were discussing, which is the top league. Just clarify it. Just come out and openly say it. Let there be bitterness. Let there be enemies. But please let us have clarity. Sandeep, Abresh Meena, you can just...
No, man, I think we should move on. It's been a while.
It's been 40 minutes. Yeah, go on.
Yeah, we thought it would be 20, but no, it went down to 40. So let's move on. We move on to the AFC Cup, which saw 2 Indian teams, as has been the case in the recent years. This time around, it was ATK Mohun Bagan and Gokulam Kerala. It started with an all-Indian match, Bagan taking on Gokulam, which Gokulam went on to win. But from there on, Sandeep, what did Gokulam do?
What do you mean? What did they do? They won one match? I mean,
and went on to lose everything else.
In the grand scheme of things, when you look at it, did you think that Gokulam would go through?
In the grand scheme of things, I did not think Gokulam would go on to lose to Basundhara and Mazia. Come on.
After match
come on, man. Basundhara is a good team. They have a good coach. They spend a lot of money.
More than Basundhara being a good team, Gokulam played really, really bad in those matches.
They didn't play well. I'm not going to say that they played well.
Yeah,
but
so
you have to...
If Gokulam want to play to their level, like to the level that they
played
in the...
What is their level? They play second division in India.
So at least play to their levels in the I-League, man. That was better. That could have given them a fighting chance.
One match they played.
They played one match. They played out of the skins, if you want to say. After
one match they played. Maybe they were motivated by the fact that they had to play against ATK and an ISL team. They wanted to do something, and on the day, ATK Mohun Bagan had a horrible game also.
Yeah.
There with the injuries and whatever happened, the reshuffling, they had a horrible game. So they won that game, right? Next, then onwards, you go back to status quo. Wherever your level is, you go back to your mean. And then, to be fair, like, Basundhara is a top division team in Bangladesh. They have been, wait, Naveen, wait. And they have been playing the AFC Cup for a long time. Mazia has played IFC for a long time. Mazia has beaten BFC and knocked them out also. So these are not clubs that are just randomly there just because they are from a smaller nation than India.
But so Mazia has I-League budget also. You agree that, right? Mazia has I-League budget only.
Fair, yeah, but they have the experience of playing this, and they have experience of beating big teams.
Heritage, experience of playing at
this. They have all of that. Gokulam went there, won the first game. There was a lot of hype, which I didn't get. I found it hilarious that they made a point. The coach went a little overboard with whatever the comments that he said. Some of it is true, and some of it probably should have just forgotten about it. and then it came back to bite them. Now I don't know what is this surprise that Gokulam didn't finish first or second or something. They didn't win all the games. They were not. I always thought they were the weakest team going into that league.
It's not about winning all the matches, okay? It's not about it is about putting up a performance. Again, Basundhara and Mazia, the team did not even look like that. They wanted to play.
Yeah, because the other team is also playing. Their objective is not let you play.
But Basundhara and Mazia were not that good a team.
You're talking
as if Basundhara and Mazia are like Alton Yasser. They are not Alton Yasser. They are Basundhara and Mazia.
But Gokulam Kerala is not ATK Mohan Bagan either.
No. Listen.
Gokulam Kerala are the I-League champions. And we have discussed this at length. I-League level is at a certain level. If you can go on to win the I-League 2 years,
they are still not the level to go. If I-League was not in the current situation, that they get the slot, they are not that as a team.
I agree. They are not in a level to probably get out of the group. But to finish the way they finished, no, that is not acceptable. Come on,
I think that is absolutely fine. I don't know what you think that Gokulam is a fantastic team. I don't know where this idea also comes from.
I did not say Gokulam is a fantastic team. Gokulam did not play to their potential, is what I'm saying. They could have played better than what they did.
Just agree to disagree. Agree to disagree.
Yeah, I'm just going to disagree and move on. Yeah.
Sandeep, I would disagree. Okay. No,
I can't. I mean, I have a very strong view.
Gokulam was shit in the AFC Cup.
I get Naveen's point, and Sandeep, Altinasir, seriously, but I get points.
Yeah, you're talking as if there's some big team in the AFC Cup. There's not, dude.
Naveen, there are levels, man. Understand, there are levels.
Of course, there are levels. Gokulam also has a level. All I'm saying, they did not play to their level.
It is not very high. That's what I'm telling you.
But it is probably at a fighting level with
Naveen, I'll drop.
I'm not saying Alton Yasser here.
Naveen, listen to me.
Dude, we have to stop saying Alton Yasser, okay? I'm seriously. But last year, we thought Mohan Bagan was such a great team. They went and got trashed by Nasaf.
No one thought Mohan Bagan
Mohan Bagan, even last year, they have an extremely competent squad. That squad should not have lost.
Central Asian football.
We are talking
about Central Asian football. Central Asian football is at another level. Come on.
Wait, let me finish my point. No, last year also we looked at them and said this is a good team. Even at the Central Asian level, to lose by 6 and 7 goals they're not that bad. Okay, they got trashed that day because there are absolute levels to all of this. Now, Gokulam is a champion of I-League, double champion of I-League, fair enough. But I-League is not the level of ISL in terms of player quality and foreigner quality. Now, the foreign players in Basundhara Kings are excellent. Now, there are some foreigners, there are always exceptions.
Player, I think Indian players, ISL, I-League.
No, I still think ISL, at least Mohan Bagan, quality is significantly higher than what Gokulam has.
Mohan Indian players. Yeah. I'm not Mohan Indian players.
So we're looking at the AFC Cup run. So these guys go and play against the best team in Bangladesh and best team from Maldives. Maldives team who knocked out BFC. I think they were the ones who knocked them out in the qualifier a couple of years ago, if I'm not mistaken. I think that was Mazia. They have played. I've spoken to Ashley Westwood. I've spoken to Carles Corda. I've spoken to Albert Roca. All of them keep saying how difficult it is to play against these teams who don't have the name. But they come here knowing that the best thing they can do or the ideal thing would be to defend well and not lose and sometimes nick a goal. So that's how they used to come against the better teams of Indian football. Now you're talking about a team in the second division. I don't know why people think they are going to qualify or because they beat Mohan Bagan, whatever. They played. Maybe they underperformed a little bit.
I think drastically.
I think that's fine. Like, why can't the club underperform? What is a big deal? I mean, I didn't think that
you're playing the AFC Cup. At least there, you hope not to underperform at a continent.
Yeah, but they've underperformed. Now, what are you gonna do?
What do you mean hoping?
Yeah, you don't go into a continental competition hoping that I'll sit back and underperform, right?
Germany went and lost in the first round of the World Cup as defending champions. They didn't want to go there and underperform.
And everyone thrashed Germany, right? Everyone thrashed that team, right?
Because they are the world champions,
That's exactly what I'm doing. If you go to a competition, you have supposed to perform. If you don't perform, you get thrashed. That's exactly what's happening here.
They are the world champions. Gokulam is playing this for the second time.
They're playing for the first time, right?
Oh, sorry, for the first time. The last year I forgot.
let's
Yeah,
just
they were playing for the first
Guys,
time.
Abrish Meena, please.
Can I
Yeah,
make a
like-
point?
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
please.
So
This
the
is how we
thing is-
used to live. Okay, when we stayed in the same house, we thought about everything because this pig-headedness, nothing goes to your head.
Okay. PG-18 viewers.
So what I am saying is I agree with Sandeep on one point that the level of I
One point.
League is not the same. So
Agreed.
Gokulam just looks like a better team, right? Than they actually are. Okay.
That's the
Point one.
Point.
Point two, they did want to literally, it just seemed like, towards the end at least, it just seemed like they had so much more energy and zeal and enthusiasm when they were playing against ATKMB, because they just wanted to beat those guys, okay?
Yeah.
Like to prove that I League is better than ISL, okay?
Yeah.
And the real Kashmir dig was unnecessary.
Look, they wanted the mileage. They got the mileage. Everyone trashed ATM on for that.
They performed more than their potential.
Indian
that
football did had a
particular
field
day.
day. Yeah. Indian football did had a
So
field
they
day.
got
That
their thing.
particular day, they performed more than they actually can on a general day. Okay, they just put in all of their effort into that one.
Okay,
game.
they outperform themselves.
And then what happened is, obviously all the factors come when you're playing against Bashundra and Mazia, and then humility, and then they just did not have the legs, the fitness, and that whole enthusiasm in the next 3 games.
Yeah, that is just poor management, right?
Yes,
No.
That is just
And-
poor management.
No.
The club is to be
And
blamed there.
ATKMB had a very bad day on the first game, but we all know the caliber of Juan Fernando and what he can do. And then you have Liston in the team. I mean, did you
Right.
see Liston perform in the AFC Cup?
Back
He was
to
very
normal
good.
service.
He was
Um,
it just went back to normal.
So no,
So-
Naveen,
Arey,
pull
let
up
me
Paji's
finish.
comment.
Let
Pull up
me
Pavneet
finish.
Paji's comment about Durand and Super Cup. हाँ.
आज डंडे चले गए यार.
Abrish Meena, continue. नहीं, about Durand and Super Cup.
So I like, just to finish, it's only that the hype that was built around Gokulam, that they have built around themselves after that
But
first game was way too much.
Let's move on.
Then they
It's-
could have handled.
Yeah. Basically, it was poor competition management.
can I just say that Gokulam's Twitter work that they do is designed to, first of all, make waves on Twitter, and secondly, just to annoy people sometimes, just to take because they keep saying champions of India.
Yeah.
And I'm a Gokulam fan, okay, and that's not correct. You can't do you're essentially stretching the truth to a ridiculous level. They are the champions of India in the women's team.
Today,
Right? They are a women's team champions
Joshua
twice over.
Joshua
Amazing.
just said, Sandeep was sitting with a Gokulam jersey in the previous.
I am a Gokulam. I am from
Yeah.
Calicut, so I support Gokulam. But you have to call a spade a spade. Their Twitter is and Instagram and comments and whatever they are doing, they are mostly doing to needle other people also.
let's just
I mean,
move on.
Kerala Blasters being right there, and they keep saying we have won title, and the fans keep arguing about it. Yes, they have won title. Some of them great
Do not
achievements and stuff
open
like
this
that.
box.
Yeah,
Do not open this box, Sandeep.
I'm not opening. I'm just saying
Do not
that
open
their
this box.
Twitter game is on point. If it's to get conversations going, it's on point.
We get do not take care. I mean, let's just leave it. I just want to tell Pavneet that it's not actually correct. I think Super Cup will be the best assessment of the because a lot of them will be at the peak of their seasons or will be in better conditioning. Durand Cup is often, it might be misleading because pre-season someone has a full
Okay,
squad. Someone comes up with
I have a question there. Like, why do you say Super Cup will be a proper assessment? Because Super Cup comes at the end of the season with nothing to fight for, right? You don't have a continental slot or you have nothing to fight for.
correct. But आप assessment
Well,
type, आप ये conditioning.
नहीं, अगर ऐसी बात है तो what makes you hope that these teams will come in with their best squad for that competition?
Look, you can look at it this way. Only one team is going to
at that
win.
point of time. right?
Yeah, okay. The season's over. One team's on the I League, one team's on the ISL, one the league. Right? If the guy who won the league and ISL are the same, then other teams are going to go full throttle to win something so that their season ends with the silverware. We saw this when BFC didn't win the title, they went and won the Super Cup. Goa went and won the Super Cup
Goa
the
went
year
all
they
out
didn't
to
win.
win the Durand
Because,
Cup.
yeah, they want to add silverware to their cabinet.
But who doesn't want to add silverware? Like,
yeah, so,
who doesn't want to add silverware?
that makes their season successful, right? When you look at it on paper, 5 years down the line, we got one trophy this year. So there will be some.
Why do they keep putting 6 in 6?
No,
Why do they keep putting 6 in 6, 5 in 5, and all these?
Yeah, because the year I think Bangalore FC won the Super League, they didn't send most of their players. That Super League was also a little messed up, Sorry, Super Cup was
they
also
sent
messed up.
PK Vineet, Sunil Chetri, and all played in the final. They lost out to Mohan Bagan at the Kantirawa. They drew and they lost the title. That's it.
What are you talking about? This is the Super Cup. They didn't play in the Kantirawa now.
This is the Federation Cup. I'm saying Federation. The
first Federation Cup. Okay, yeah.
Federation Cup had something.
Previous Super Cup after
the one they won with Vineet and all, right? The one they won with
that
Vineet.
one they didn't win the title, so they went all out.
They came fourth in the league.
The second, once they won the title that year, they didn't take it that seriously. I would think, in my assessment, some foreigners are not. But again, that's Super Cup had a lot of issues also in the first place.
Just football wise speaking, Naveen and Pavneet also, if the average player, I think, and Abrishman, you can also say, having managed the team all season, average player
needs to speak.
Average player peaks about 20, 25, 30 games into the season. If it is a 50-game season, you have 28 games. So we hope they peak around game 20. So they're definitely much better at the end of the season than they are conditioning wise.
And anyway, they're not going to be tired after 20 games.
They're not. And see,
Liverpool by
63. Plus the intensity in Indian football is not that high for them to be tired after 20.
Yeah. See, the Durand Cup, I do not think the Durand Cup is still a good indicator. Kerala Blasters, just take the example of Kerala Blaster only. It's not a very good indicator. Honestly,
I think that also depends. Especially, like they were like starting again, and maybe this time around teams would want to take it a bit more seriously and start their season on a better note. I mean, you can't judge just by how it went the previous season. I think maybe people would take it a bit more seriously this time around.
I agree because they need the Durand Cup. Once you get into the knockouts, for sure they're going to take it seriously.
The good thing is now all the three are kind of coming under the aegis of the AFF, who are recognizing it as their official tournaments, right? Durand, Super, and A. So everybody is like, now instead of one, we have three to fight for. So everybody is more now. I think everybody now might go full throttle for the Durand. Some might go. I'm not saying everybody will, but some might go full throttle for the Durand.
The services teams will. Definitely.
Okay.
I like the services team at the Durand.
Let's just acknowledge Kumar Reddy's comment without foreigner players in ATK Amliwala. Okay. Of course, there are gaps. Every ISL team, if you take out the foreigners, there will be gaps. But one can never deny that ATK Mohan Bagan actually have like decent Indian players also. They have some of the best of what we have available. Our quality in general is not great, right? So they do have some of the best of what is available to us. So yeah, even like Manveer hasn't been very bad since he moved. I mean, I won't say he's not developed into a quintessential striker. I won't call him that, which was something that people were hoping for initially. So he's not developed into that, but then pretty good in terms of speed, providing speed on the wings and all. So yeah, he's done decent at that front. Liston, obviously, I mean, Liston is developing superbly. I was one of the people who did not think that ATK Mohan Bagan was a good move for him, but I stand corrected on that front. So yeah, and so it's not like you don't have Indian players at all, but yeah, I mean, they're decent and they are some of the best that we have.
Yeah. And as for Liston, imagine being the main Indian guy in a team which plays AFC Cup and Asia regularly. It's a huge responsibility, but he's just thriving on it. Like he's just feeding off this.
I just want to throw it to Abrashmin also, because these people were discussing, right? And I want to discuss the women's version of it. They were saying, one said it's a disappointment, Gokulam not winning more games, and one said this is expected. What do you think? So, and this happened then also, and I remember we had this discussion. We said, listen, they won one game in the AFC Women's Championship, but was it really what was expected of them? And then maybe we can start with their IWL win. Just want to speak. Hear your opinions on both.
I honestly, I was one of the people who said that I expected Gokulam to do better in the AFC. Yeah. And it was their aim. I spoke to the management before they
explain
went
to
for
the viewers
tournament.
why, right? I mean, some might be unaware.
So obviously, Iran's women's football development is very recent, right? I mean, we all know where Iran, like as a country, stands in terms of its women being outdoors.
International in 2006, by the way.
Yeah. So I mean, it's very recent. So obviously, I mean, in terms of, again, they were the ones who showed what football culture essentially can bring to the table, right? I mean, they are a team that was that started blooming very recently, and then they went ahead and performed the way they did. So obviously, and then you had teams from Jordan, which was Amman and Uzbekistan. So Uzbekistan also, I mean, for context, what we think of West Asian countries in terms of men's football, it's very different to that in terms of women's football. So yes, Gokulam did go with the aim of winning it, and Gokulam, given the number of national team players it had, and the the foreigners and everybody they had in their team, they should have done much better. So yes, that was a failure for the team. I mean, there are no two ways about the fact that AFC Club Women's Championship was a failure for Gokulam. Now, when you come back home and talk about the IWL, I mean, we did talk about it in the previous session as well. I mean, it's just they are speed-wise also, I would say. Obviously, a lot of it was contribution from Manisha. They just few seconds ahead of everybody else, and that kind of made the difference. Um, Even in the final, I mean, like not the final, the deciding match.
The last one.
The deciding match. Final is the wrong word because that will give the idea of a good knockout, but it wasn't. It was called.
Don't give anybody an idea for the knockout.
It was all league and it was genuinely a league. So yeah, guys.
Just don't give. Qureshi Saab is listening to this. Don't give him.
So the deciding match, I expected Setu to do better. They did. It was again too easy for.
They scored.
We'll take Hari's question, but in the meanwhile, Abrashmina, if you have the core of the Indian national team, shouldn't you be performing like this anyway?
Yeah.
If you have like 10 national team players,
like Gokulam winning the IWM, is that actually a big deal?
It's not a surprise at all.
Because it's like one team having Sunil, Gurpreet, Liston, Suresh, Apuya. It's like one team having
all so that sort of thing. It was expected. If they wouldn't have won, that would have been a major failure for that team, right?
Like even the manner in which they won, that was also expected.
Yeah, that was also expected because, like we mentioned, like we were talking about in the previous session also. I mean, the gap between the top players in Indian women's football and the rest is
two IWLs, right? Essentially, there are two parallel IWLs happening at the same time. One is where the strugglers not even coming anywhere close.
Yeah,
and I think I just let you shed some light on this because you had a very wonderful thread about all of the teams, and I think just continue.
Yeah, so basically, it's like the gap is too big. So for that to bridge, it is going to take time if we develop well. That, of course.
But we keep concentrating on 23 people. We think 23. We keep concentrating on the same 23 people. We think we'll just beat Tobin Heath and all using this same 23 people.
कर देंगे.
So yeah, overall development, obviously, Indian women's
The
football
pool has to go. Like the
needs
pool is
that. The pool
abysmal,
has
right?
to improve.
The pool is
Pool has
abysmal
to
currently, right?
be enlarged.
Like yeah.
In order for the whole overall development of the game in the
Joshua,
country.
I'm not even taking this. I'm not, because I've spoken
Okay.
a lot about this. But Abrish,
Okay.
please,
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
putting you on the spot.
No,
Yeah.
I don't think I am at sport anymore. I am outside journalism. Thank you. So I'm not really on a spot at the moment. So yeah, I mean, yes, Linthoi was far better. Aditi, on the whole, is heavy-footed. Okay, I mean, it's a fact that anybody who watches women's football and watches it with a bit of, like, no eyes, that you noticing really the attributes of the players, you know she's heavy-footed, and she does leave spaces as well. So it's just that she has a brilliant defender in Ashalata Devi in front
Oh
of
my
her.
God! What a legend!
Right?
What a legend.
If there are two players, I will pinpoint who deserve pretty much every accolade that comes their way in terms
Bala
of
Asha.
Gokulam win. That is Asha
Gokulam
and Manisha.
Manisha.
And then Kashmira somewhere in between.
Kashmir.
So it's just that Asha.
I think Dangmei also deserves some amount of.
Even Grace was
Dangmei
good.
deserves a lot of love.
Yeah.
Dangmei
Great
fan is
player.
here.
So yeah, she was very good. Good season, yes, I would agree. So
But
yeah,
I have to say a couple of things here.
huh.
One is I remember constantly asking Abrish when she was a journalist about Aditi and her number one spot constantly, just to
Oh,
get
yeah,
her in trouble.
we spoken
We can
about it
actually
also.
pull out. Hello, I think Sameen, this is the perfect time to screen share some videos. Please,
I should have all those videos, not to screen share. I don't have any of it.
I think Abrish Mina, you can send it in the private chat. I think we were talking about the goal. Which goal was it? We are referring to where the clearance is
I'll have
a
to
fail.
take it out. I'll share it on Twitter. That is okay.
So watch out for that in Abby's Twitter. And the other thing is, IWL is over, and I feel like I should rap on AIFF a lot. But this time it looks like they have bettered from last time that was happening.
Yeah.
There were more grounds. There were better training facilities. Obviously, being held where it was being held was a huge positive because they had a lot of
Jai Utkala
options.
Banga.
Yeah, from the things that I've heard from people who were there, they said the government was very helpful,
Odisha
very
government.
supportive.
I
They
think I
had
know this
two
person
training
also.
grounds or two or three
Yeah.
training grounds. They had three grounds at the game which was happening. They messed up with the telecast. So once you get that sort of figured out, I think there is a future. More teams this time,
No,
more games this
definitely,
time.
yeah. And the whole format also was good this
Yeah.
time around. They completely did that on a proper league structure. It was so yeah. I mean, I
Pull up Hari's
definitely
comment.
appreciate that.
And just throw it to Abrish
Yeah.
now.
So hopefully they can build on this because this is a step forward for women's football for sure.
But I think
Yeah.
the next thing to be discussed is this for women's football. I think Abrish Mina.
No, it's going to be state leagues completely. It's mandatory next from next season onwards. You won't have the IWL qualifiers that were being held so far.
Yes.
No IWL qualifiers. If you want to play in the IWL, it has to any state. It has to come through your state league. So if the state leagues are not being held in your state, you won't be able to participate.
But you have to clarify that Manipur and all had state leagues, yet they had to play the qualifiers. What is the minimum?
Yeah, because they didn't fulfill the criteria of the total number of matches that had to be played. It was 10 minimum, so yeah, they didn't play that, so that is why they had to play the qualifiers. It wasn't also the Manipur League was not registered on the CRS, so that was also a big reason why they had to play the qualifiers. So yeah, all state leagues have to be held, and they have to be registered on the CRS. So that would be the criteria for all the teams that win the state league will go.
Also, Joshua has an interesting question, which I'm again going to sidestep because I don't want to go into a rant. Abresh Pina, please.
they were fielding a women's team soon. Is it a corporate entry? Yeah, we'll see. I mean, I think we'll play them if they play in the Delhi League, right? It won't be corporate. Definitely, it will be. It has to be like that because.
Nay. They'll just
But
start with the lowest division. No? They'll just start with the lowest division.
yeah, we will. I mean,
No, they will also, because the last time they finished in the quarters. So according to this year's rules, they were eligible to play in the Premier Division, and we know some people who are sitting there. They will though. We don't know what they will do, but like you said, Abrishmina, they will most probably just put parachute. Not even corporate entry. This is just some lame rule saying last time they were in the quarterfinals before they pulled out. So this time also they'll start from the Premier Division. This is what
I'm
I.
not sure. I mean, if I mean this time around, they at least had that sort of structure that all the teams who were in the quarterfinals in 2 seasons ago started in the Premier Division, and rest all the teams played the championship and qualified for the Premier Division. So I mean, if they follow that kind of format, then obviously Sudeva are going to start from the bottom. But
But
I
but
mean,
but Hari has a valid point, right? Why should there always be qualifiers? Because imagine the opposite situation where there's no qualifiers, right? Everybody, one or two or three teams get relegated, and the others come in through some other pattern, right? Why should
no,
why
no,
should
they
one state be restricted to one team? First of all, if there's promotion relegation, maybe the actual stronger states will have more
we all
representation.
know where the idea is coming from, right? One state, one team, wala hisab. Like we all know where the idea is coming
Yeah,
from.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
not. It's not even. It's not like AFF has adopted it now. So
Since
it's
you
Hey,
like
are
don't
a
blame Modi ji, okay?
since you are no longer a journalist, you can just mention to everybody where the
yeah,
idea
Yeah,
comes from.
FSDL,
yeah.
ISL,
Naveen,
not
Don't
we
blame.
still, Naveen, you and I still have to fight over the national team performance.
Oh yeah, we have to fight over that. Like,
Yeah.
don't blame Modi ji, okay?
No, it's not Modi ji.
no
Yeah,
FSDL. Obviously, ISL.
It's
It's
FSJ light. Yeah.
ISL's brainchild,
Ah,
one state,
ah.
one team. So AFF has kind of adopted
But
that. It
but
is
no.
not completely. I don't personally. I don't find it completely fair
Ah,
because I think the quality and the number of players coming from certain states is much better than the rest. So I mean, there has to be some sort of incentive for states that are
so yeah, so if
producing
that's the
better
case,
players.
I'm saying Manipur, it having a champion and runner up almost every edition. How can they not have representation? Like it's nuts. Of course, the Manipur FA is to be blamed, but maybe the pattern is also to be blamed. I think
No,
like
see, this time around, I don't disagree. I mean, if you don't have your state
CRS.
league registered on the CRS, I am sorry.
Agreed.
You
Agreed.
may be Manipur, but you have to then, bear the brunt of that, according
Correct.
to me. At least
Correct.
I am clear on that front. That this time around, I don't mind. But
but
yeah, I mean,
but how do you go about deciding which state gets more than one team? Because what is the criteria based on which you decide? Like
probably
what is the objective criteria?
you do have a list of players that are regularly playing in the system, right, and from which state they are. So it can honestly be based on that as well, because you'll find that there are way too many players coming from Manipur, even Tamil Nadu for that matter, and so you will have those things, but
Ideally, even if the states want to have a new champion every year, the zonal system I think works really well in this case.
Mhm.
Just
I
huh,
think the nomination should be two from
each state,
each
right?
state,
Huh.
and then based all the teams that finished first would automatically be inducted, and then whatever number of spaces that are open, right? Number of teams slots basically are open. Uh,
Joshua, that's public information. That's not something
So,
she's.
however, number of slots that are still available, you go through all the state league tables again, and the ones with the most number of points automatically get selected, whichever state they are from.
Or why not have two divisions, right? Let the highest non-qualified IWL team, maybe champion or second place, play in the second division, along with whoever gets relegated from the IWL, and the teams which do well in the IWL get to keep their spot.
Orko, you are going like in two tiers.
Yeah, you are going so far. You are running before walking.
Yeah. We can't right now for Indian women's football. At least we can't even conceive like a second division. We are only talking about proper structuring of the IWL right now.
But why not? All I'm saying, okay, listen to me. If Hans hadn't played from Delhi, Signature had the resources to play the IWL, correct?
Yeah.
Right. All I'm saying is, who finished last this time? Hans only. Okay. So I'm saying relegate Hans. Okay.
To where?
Coming. Have a second division. Okay. Have a second division. Whoever finishes top, apart from the 10 teams which are already playing in the IWL, whoever finishes the highest apart from Kickstart, promote them to the de facto second division, right? And have a team. So see what I'll tell you why. I'm just telling you why. I'm saying teams which do well in the IWL deserve some incentive, correct? It should not. They should not have to qualify every year because they have proved themselves, correct?
Okay.
You get my point, right?
Yeah. Okay.
Go on. Yeah.
So there is another thing. Like if I finish second in the league, I have to go to a second division and play. Most likely, it's going to be centralized, or I have to travel home and away, whatever. You are increasing the expense of that team for nothing in return, really, other than betterment of Indian football. And we know the clubs are not running for the betterment of Indian football. They want to get something in return.
I'm just saying, Sandeep, like.
No, I'm telling you why that's probably not going to happen at this point in time for women's sport.
I'm just saying, Kickstarts, for example, Kickstart lost to Misaka in the final. Correct. One leg and beat them the other leg.
That was not really a final, but I get the point, yeah.
I'm saying, if not Kickstart, Misaka would love the chance to go. Correct.
Not sure. Like last year, I know a couple of them were trying to go Madhya Pradesh and stuff like that, but they never went.
I'm just saying how weird it is. Just saying, right? Kickstart finishes third in the IWL, right? Now next year, Misaka knocks them out. Misaka wins, right? I mean, is it really fair?
I think it is. I think every year, you're proving whether you deserve to play in the top division of the country or not. I mean, teams here change.
I mean, because we don't have enough players also. Next year, you can imagine Gokulam for some reason releases all their players. Suddenly, everything is changing.
They'll get relegated.
So there is not enough players for anybody to figure that out also. You
and at the moment, Orko, what you are talking about is literally relegation and all, which doesn't even exist in men's football. Can't even think about it in women's football. Women's football, we are struggling to have a 3-month league in women's football. I mean, imagine relegation and all. It's like far-fetched. I think we should just have a good running year after year structure.
All I'm saying is there should be some incentive to the teams that play the IWL. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying.
Their incentive is to get there every year, yeah. Get there everywhere. Enjoy the
Naveen, you have to at some point intervene and control the conversation.
He forgets.
I was asking.
Either he's fighting with Sandeep.
He is googling some crap
probably.
No. I was asking the community: should India have a multi-tier system for women's football right now? So let's see what the community has to say.
Put a poll.
This is multitasking. This Sandeep doesn't know anything.
Sandeep doesn't know anything.
Okay. On that note, let's move on.
Pull up Joshua's comment. Let's hear.
Hey, Joshua's comment. Joshua, some ISL teams are spending more money on
Not
social media
this.
through.
Not this. Average.
Which one?
Average.
Average. Oh, until this everyone knows, dude.
No, Josh was right though in this.
Everyone doesn't know, so fair, good, fair enough.
Yeah.
No, Josh, I'm saying Josh was right about the ISL team spending more money on social media crew than the whole budget of. So the average budget of an IWL team, if I had to guess, average you can also say 15, 20, maybe even lower, 10, 15.
1,000.
Lakh.
Lakh.
1,000.
No, IWL for IWL qualifiers, teams come at a budget of 20,000. Yeah.
Yeah, we know the team. We know the team. I'm talking about IWL teams.
Average, I am maybe like, but it
most
will
of them
only
pay their
be...
players. I think most of them now.
No. Most of them don't.
Let's see. Let's see.
Gokulam pays.
Yes, Gokulam.
Not
yes.
all. Not all.
Most 90%.
The national teamers.
Who else is
That's
left
the whole
apart
team,
from the
no.
national team?
But they go through the registration, okay? They have a lot of amateur registration.
Kashmina will definitely get paid, right? She's not even.
Yeah, of course. Kashmina gets. I am saying they have even Gokulam do not have all the players registered under professional contract. A lot of them, a lot of their players are also under amateur contracts. So amateur contracts, they may not be getting paid. Is what I'm saying.
Then there's Setu. I know they pay. I know the owner really well. We know they pay. Kickstart, we know they pay. Hans also, the bottommost team also they pay. Sirvodem also, they've got players from outside.
Hans?
Hans के पास पैसे हैं.
Hans के पास पैसे नहीं. It's a player driven club, but
I don't think they pay.
नहीं, but काइका active fair response पैसे देती है. Like,
but it's a small amount.
But players, they might be getting IWL average salary might be 5,000 maybe for the entire tournament. Still, I
think it's average. You mean like considering all the teams?
5,000 I think. Not per match. I'm talking about full tournament maybe.
Yeah.
We'll figure that out and we'll get back to it next time around. But right now, moving on to the men's team, because they have some important matches coming up. Okay, they have 3 important matches that they have to play. They have to win and qualify for the Asian Cup.
Igor Stimac got some important matches.
Yeah, but before we talk about those matches, let's talk about that match against Jordan. Did anyone watch that match?
No, I watched that match. I don't want to talk about it.
I watched that match too, even though it was my vacation.
Yeah, Sandeep. So you took the pain of watching that match on your vacation.
Just talk us through it. His wife also through it.
Yeah.
My wife was doing something else, which is the only reason why I watched it. So
just talk us through it. India losing to Jordan 2-0
I think I have to give credit to Ranady. I saw Ranady say this somewhere. I think 420 grams, I think he said it. He said it's fine to defend and play in that manner if that's the way you want to play. But if you're not getting results in that manner, what's going to happen? That's not really a good thing, right? If you can't defend and try to play a defensive game, what's the point? You can try to attack, and if you can't score goals, then what's the point? So right now we are stuck in this limbo, and it's high time, dude. Like this, the next match, the next 3 matches are going to be really, 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 really important. I'm not going to say easy or hard, because at this point, I think also we have to. Afghanistan is probably not going to be the same Afghanistan they played before. With all the thing that is happening with the Taliban coming back and stuff in their country, probably not at the same level. They are going to be. India is going to find everybody tough at this point, and then you have to win. And if you don't qualify, then you have no leg to stand on. We have gone backwards. I've always defended Stimac, right? I've always defended Stimac, saying that need to give him that you signed him for this much deal. This is what you need to do. But at this point, it's coming to a head that if you don't win these 3 matches, I don't see a future there. And if you do win these 3 matches, I don't know how you're going to win it. Are you going to nick a goal and play the luck card, or what's going to happen here? Because the performance didn't really sort of invoke any sort of confidence in the team, I have to say.
But despite that performance, do we really think that India's chances of making to the Asian Cup is in jeopardy, given that you're playing at home and then you're playing
No,
against,
No,
no. If you look,
yeah,
I think they'll qualify.
yeah, they will
I think
qualify.
they'll qualify. I think you can qualify finishing second also.
Yeah, because of four
Yeah,
second place
but
teams.
Yeah. So
But
you're basically
huh.
you are shooting yourself in your foot if you don't qualify.
But you know what? I haven't had this feeling for a long time. I genuinely can't say. I think they should finish top two,
Yeah.
but I genuinely can't say at this point in time because of how the last 12 months have been for the NT.
No, but
Can't say.
top two in a group where you have Mongolia, Cambodia, and Afghanistan, that should be achievable.
Hong
Hong
Kong.
Kong.
Oh, sorry,
Not
Hong
Mongolia.
Kong. Oh, is
No, it
Hong
should
Kong?
be achievable. Top to night, top should be achievable.
Could be
Yeah.
like it's. But Stimac hasn't shown us a semblance of a game plan.
So the thing,
He hasn't.
what really irritates me at this moment is we're still talking about qualifying for Asian Cup as a benchmark.
Yeah.
That
And our dear
So
admin.
what would you have as a benchmark?
that is not acceptable. Okay,
No,
qualifying
what
for
would
Asian
you
Cup.
have as a benchmark?
Excellent. Naveen is. I'll tell you what Naveen is saying. Naveen is saying they already did it last time, so he wants them to take it a step further and say
But
round of 16 or
what would you say would be a reasonable benchmark?
something. For me, given where we are currently, just making the Asian Cup will be relief enough.
That's I agree. Like for me, I'll tell you my perspective. Then Naveen, you can say. For me, it's just that you are consistently in the Asian Cup.
Yeah.
I don't care how you qualify. Just that you every year you play the Asian Cup. What would your benchmark be?
Okay, being consistently competing in the Asian Cup should be a given at this point in time, and not that we fight
It's
for.
Indian football, Naveen. Nothing is a given.
Yeah.
That's what we are saying. That's what we are
Okay,
saying.
मैं बोलूं.
Bolo.
So after 2019, the way we ended 2019, the entire Constantine era ended, we should have looked at Asian Cup as a given. Like, we will go qualify for the Asian Cup, but that didn't happen. We regressed drastically, and there is no way to hide behind saying that okay, COVID हुआ था इसलिए हमने कुछ नहीं किया.
We were
COVID
on
के
the
कारण नहीं हुआ.
verge of round of 16. We were on the verge of round of 16.
COVID did not hit India alone. पूरे दुनिया भर में COVID था. Every freaking country in this world was hit by COVID.
COVID affected.
So let's assume that India does qualify.
I'm not done. So basically, you asked me what should be the benchmark. Benchmark should be performing better against teams who are better than you, which has not happened during this time. And when that happens on a consistent basis, playing the Asian Cup comes as a given. That has not happened. That is what a benchmark should be. I'm not saying you should be looking at making the third round of the World Cup qualifiers. That's still a step ahead for us. But right now, you should be performing better against teams who are better than you. You should be performing better against teams like Jordan. Let's begin with Jordan or a Bahrain, for that matter. Oman के साथ we could have put up a better fight. We could have done much better against Oman. पर ये कुछ नहीं हुआ है. None of this has happened. So that is the regression that we've been speaking about. Even if we qualify for the Asian Cup, this team has regressed. There is no.
This team goes to Asian Cup, finishes second, and goes in as the best second place team, and then qualifies.
They will have
by drawing 3 games.
They will have to get
winning 1 and losing 2, something.
They will have to get an extremely fortuitous group, Sandeep. You cannot
imagine what sort of. I'm just saying. Would you say that as a progression?
No, it's still not a progression.
We've regressed.
No, I agree. I'm playing the devil's advocate here. I agree that we have regressed. Yeah. But I'm just putting, and for me, the fact that we regress is not so much that comparing with 2019. For me, the point is, this is the time when the under-17 World Cup players are making their way into the national team. That's the team that you spend so much money on grooming to be the best. Probably the people who we gave the most to, most opportunities, most money, most everything. And they are now in the national team. If you don't do better than the previous generation, that's not worth it.
They couldn't even get the AFC Under-23 Championship. So I think these hopes are all.
Yeah.
No, it's not about the hope. It's about the fact that we have invested in this generation. And it's right for the fans to expect more from this generation.
We invested the right way. So
it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
What Sandeep is saying is there has been a lot of investment has been made into them, and people just expect कि भाई इतना investment किया है, so just get us
Kuch to
something,
de
give
do.
us something better.
And it's only fair that we expect more
Yeah.
from this team because they got more. They were given more, so we expect more.
Exactly.
No Indian
I,
batch in
I am
history has got as much as.
I am not
Exactly.
saying whether they invested right way, wrong way, what all that is up to debate, and probably they didn't invest probably in the right way. You should have done a much a funnel
Comprehensive
sort
job.
of a thing.
Yeah.
But now we are where we are right now, and I feel they should have done much better. This generation has to do much better, and so
Okay.
I expect more from them, and I
But
expected better performance from them. I don't care if you are a
true.
defensive team, offensive
Of
team,
course.
somewhere in between.
You,
You are
you
this
bloody play to
lucky.
your strength, dude. If you are good defensively, you do that. Do a good defensive job.
Yeah.
Yeah,
ये तो वो भी नहीं हो
and
रहा है. You're not
as
doing that.
great as Sunil Chhetri is, as great a player as he is, and a servant he has been for this national team, we cannot keep relying on that man to score goals.
If we are see as we're still relying on Sunil Chhetri to get us those goals and take us ahead, uh, that in itself is regressive.
Yeah.
That in itself
But-
shows regression.
See,
But
one
Sandeep,
Western Colasso does not change the Indian
Yeah.
team's equation. Also, it doesn't change.
Yeah, and just here, no, since Orko mentioned Liston,
We had a
Kumar has
JJ.
been saying
Remember?
that Liston is unable to dribble past one player and keeps the ball for just a few seconds. See, the thing is, yes, Liston does have the tendency to try to
Over
dribble
dribble.
against
Over dribble,
too many players. Yeah, over dribble, he has the tendency to do that. But again, I don't know, it'll just be in comparison in that sense that he is better than most at it. And at the end, at least what right now in his current form, what he's showing, at least he has the guts and and the confidence to take a shot at goal, at least try to test the keepers and try and make those efforts, which most of the others are not even doing. They're not even trying that.
Zero
So,
creativity,
yeah,
zero
at
improvisation.
least he brings that to the table.
See, actually, sorry.
Let's hope so, Shabam. Let's really hope so.
Yeah, I really hope so. But
Yeah.
I just agree with Sharad when he says there are no easy matches for India. Sorry, I do not see these.
Yeah.
I see it might go down to the wire. I think we might just scrap our pants at the end of it. I hope not.
Yeah.
Not. But Hong Kong, we know, has naturalized players. If Afghanistan come out, listen, we've drawn our last two against Afghanistan.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
What really stands out for me actually is when in 2019, when that entire Constantine period ended, we saw a lot of new players making their debuts, making their way into the national team. And you expected them to continue and build on their performance when Steamage came on board. But how much has that happened? Like how many players from that period are the pillars of your national team?
See, like we said, I think first of
Look,
all, it's
how
time
many
for
are
us to
certified
in-house.
starters?
Sorry.
How many are certified starters?
Correct.
Gurpreet,
Let's
Sandesh,
pull out the
Sunil.
starting lineup from Thailand, right?
I'm just saying there are Gurpreet, Sunil, Sandesh, maybe Anirudh to an
Yeah.
extent.
Maybe no.
All
Anirudh
four
ahead
all
of
four
a lot of
from the era of Constantine.
Correct.
Right. We probably have the best two fullbacks that India has had in the past 5-6 years at least.
Yeah.
At least the last better than what Constantine had to work with.
But
Two
they
fullback.
do not get chances like Ashish
Akash
doesn't.
Mishra does.
Akash does. Ashish
Yeah,
sometimes.
Ashish is also a little injury. He's had some stuff also.
But I'm saying Preetham Kotal playing in that position is just.
But I'm just saying that they have the best two wing backs in a long time. So this team, at least on paper, has improved.
Sandeep, Naveen. Gurpreet, yes, still continues. Subhashish, yes, still continues. No idea why. Sandesh Jhingan, I mean, injury man. Anirudh
He
Thapa.
starts. If he's fit, he starts.
I mean, because how many centre backs are there to start with?
Yeah, but regardless, he's one of the main players. He's one of the three captains. So.
Agreed. Now you have 50 plus games experience. You are expected to be one of the main players.
Yeah.
Anirudh Thapa, definite mainstay. I would say one of the first names on our team sheet, but Stimac, I don't think agrees with me because
he keeps stopping and changing that position a little bit.
No, that's incredulous. How Thapa does not make the lineup. Sorry, I disagree with Stimac on so many levels here. It is incredible how this kid does not make more lineups. Sunil Chhetri, yes, given Ashik, my biggest disappointment, somebody who was an electric striker at the Asian Cup. Somebody who was so good at the Asian Cup and at club level being played as a left back. Chodo. My sadness somewhere else. Pranoy Haldar, no longer an automatic starter. Apuya, I think, has. Udanta Kumar does not deserve to be a starter, has had very poor up and down club seasons. Hali Bhai, still a force to reckon with, injured, but still a force to reckon with when he's fit, despite his advanced years. Preetham Kotal, for me, a big no, but still continues to play, by the way. Right? And Anas Arathodika, I think that position has gone to Chinglen Sana Singh. I think this is it. Akash Mishra sometimes plays. Apuya has played, but not a lot of has changed. Come to think of it, not a lot has changed. Like the core is still pretty much intact. So we've regressed because the man does not have a game plan. Man has no idea what he's doing. Like he gets up in the morning and he's playing bingo. Like he's like, today we'll do this.
I am going to still support the team for the next 3 games.
We are all supporting the team.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying I will be very pro Stimac for the next 3 games because I think if we don't qualify, there is absolutely no legs to stand on anymore.
Yeah.
Because as it is, the legs have been chopped under
him. We are standing on one toenail right now. We are standing on one toenail right now. That's all we have. No leg and all.
Because moments have mentioned here, the fame in social media and money, that is the thing. Because there is so much the kind of promotion and the kind of expectation on social media that is portrayed by everybody is that we are an amazing team. The reality is we are not that good of a team, but the performance is even worse. So it's an absolute.
Constantine is the Fernando Alonso of Indian football, right? He pulled 120% with that team. He did what?
I have a very controversial opinion here also. I think
he didn't do any of that. Okay.
According
to me, no, let me finish. No, please. So what I actually think Constantine did was, he was like, okay, fine, this team cannot go and attack. They are good at defending. Let's just play to their strengths. That's exactly what Constantine did. Everyone abused the shit out of that man because the team was not playing the flary football that all of us are used to seeing, because we consume a lot of European and international football. But Indian team or the Indian players in the national team cannot play that kind of football. There are limitations. Constantine understood that and played to whatever the strength the team had. He got in players who could just sit back, break legs, or just kill the ball if they want, because all you wanted to do is ensure that the ball does not go into your own goal, let alone put it into the opponent's goal. That's what Constantine did. If you look at the matches India played on Constantine, it was not very engaging or entertaining or very good to watch. After a point in time, you would be like, you'll throw something on that man's head. But it got you the results.
No, agreed. Constantine wasn't liked, right? But you, like they say, you never know a good thing until it's gone, right? So, I mean, he got us the results. At the end of it, it's a result. Like, I mean,
he got the results but lost the dressing room. That's what happened with Constantine.
I'm sorry. That dressing room, sorry to use this phrase, sometimes cries a little too much. It has done so during Houghton's time also. I mean, a little, and honestly, Stimac seems like a very easygoing guy. Sorry.
Hey,
I still believe, if I may say one controversial opinion, that Constantine gets a lot of credit. Some credit, credit where it's due, but he gets a little too much because of the situation that Indian football finds itself in.
So you're telling me Constantine did not have a concrete game plan? Or did
No, he did. I said credit where it's due. He did what he could with the team. I think that is something that you should expect from a coach who's coming from abroad and who's supposed to have traveled all over the world and has trained, predominantly teams who are worse or one of the lower end of the footballing spectrum.
Rwanda, Nepal.
Rwanda after, that genocide that they had, and Nepal, all of these teams. So he's
The man is
always grown
built
up.
for India. The man is built for India.
Yeah,
You
so
can't.
he did what he did, but I think he gets a lot of credit
No, no.
because of how bad the current situation,
Yeah,
current
yeah. Now
performance has
he
been.
does. When he was in
Agreed,
when he was
agreed.
in
Now,
charge,
I
he
keep
didn't.
seeing messages about ISL coming to ISL and all. I don't think he
But
would be a great
Sandeep,
coach in the
No, no,
ISL.
he won't.
no,
But
no, but
I'm
Sandeep,
saying is,
isn't
I'm
that
saying,
how it
I'm
actually
saying is
works?
simple.
Like one of the reasons why we talk so highly about great leaders from the past is because the
Uh-huh.
leadership in that the world has today is not up to the mark. That's the
I
reason
think Sharad has hit the
we
nail
rave,
on the head.
we
Sharad has
rave
hit the,
about the
yeah.
great leaders of the past,
I
and
think
that's exactly what's happening here as well.
I
Because
think
right now you have a man who's not up to the
I think
mark.
Sharad hit the nail on the head. Basically, essentially, uh, the the trapeze artist is making the circus master look like a genius.
Yeah,
Essentially, and
exactly.
he's making Constantine look like some,
Like
some
God, man.
like God.
Yeah.
So we should have moved on. See, listen, Sandeep, we couldn't have gone from a Stephen to a Manolo Marquez overnight. You know that
Yeah, of
also
course.
can't be done.
No, no, no. I agree. I think we got the appointment
See,
probably not right with the
yeah.
Stimads
See,
appointment.
but the thing is, if the players are going to cry about every taskmaster, every discipline is going to come, right? It's going to be difficult for anybody. Honestly
No,
speaking,
fair enough. We've heard this so many
honestly
times.
speaking,
Even the under
Guys,
17 coach had to
when
leave,
you're
right?
used to playing the
guys, it's going
place,
to be 2 hours again.
yeah. Sorry, when you're be
And I
when
am sorry now this time because nobody is coming to call me. Nobody's going to point out. I still haven't had dinner.
yeah, no. When,
Even I haven't had dinner.
I'm
I'm
just
not
going to
going.
say this and finish off. When people play PlayStation for 8 months and play actual football for 4 months, they're going to keep complaining against people who make them do the work. This is my honest point.
Even
And
I think it
honestly,
probably is an MBA graduate.
Sumach is to blame for our current situation. But please, players, when you go to sleep every night, please point three fingers at yourself. Please,
True.
that's all I want to say. Go on.
Yep. I think on that note, we should conclude. Fortunately, unfortunately, it's gone beyond the time that we actually decided that we speak today because when we start talking, we just
We
keep
said
talking. So,
we said 45 minutes.
Yes,
so we just added another 60 minutes to it.
max 1 hour.
Yeah, I said maximum 1 hour.
Joshua. Yeah.
So everyone wants a multi-tier system for women's football. Let's tell Qureshi this and let's see if that happens. Okay, guys. Arnab Chakravarti, we spoke about the AFC Cup, so you can just go back a bit in the show. We actually spoke a bit lot about what you say the AFC Cup. So yeah,
Some
on that
excellent
note,
fight between myself and Naveen where he was wrong.
Yeah,
that's what he
Arnab
always
might
says
have
because
missed it.
that's what he always says. I just let him be because small happiness is of his life.
Yes.
Arnab, this would be on on the platforms after we're done also. So everybody did speak about the AFC Cup. So you can go back in here.
Where is the
And Roshan is also right that the injury time starts. Sabrina was starving only.
All right, guys, let's just wrap it up. On that note, matches coming up for the men's team in the coming days, so we'll talk about that. We'll probably get together again after those
Yeah.
matches because we will talk. And then
Manolo
there's
Marquez.
Manolo Marquez's interviews coming out later this week. I won't tell you the date because that is a post that I want to put out
And
tomorrow.
do
So
let us know if you want us to interview anybody else except Gaurav Mukhi because he generally seems untraceable now. Okay, but
Yeah, man, I've been trying so hard to get him not to do a podcast, but generally to have a chat.
you're
Great
looking a bit like Mukhi also these days. Anyway,
16-year-old Mukhi, no?
continue.
yeah.
16.
Very 16, very 16. Thanks a lot, guys. Good night on that note. Have a great time and enjoy the